From Zero to Unstoppable doesn't start with some magical moment. It begins exactly where you are right now, no matter how far behind you feel. Most people wait for the perfect time, the perfect resources, or some kind of motivation boost, but truth is, there is no ideal starting line. The only real requirement is your willingness to begin, even when it feels like you have nothing. And that feeling of nothing, that's where the magic hides. Think about it. Every person you admire today, every achiever who looks unstoppable, they weren't born that way. They had their zero moments. The difference, they didn't let that zero define them. They let it launch them, and that's exactly what you need to do. Start where you are, even if your hands are empty, your heart is heavy, and your mind is full of doubt. You don't need to be great to begin, but you must begin to become great. At zero, it's easy to look at others and think, they have something I don't. But when you really zoom in, you realize they were just a few steps ahead on a path you're fully capable of walking. Endurance isn't about how much you already have, it's about how long you're willing to keep going, even when it feels like you're crawling. When your efforts aren't paying off right away, that's not a sign to stop. It's a test of your patience, your faith in the process. You might feel like you don't have the time, the energy, or the confidence, but endurance doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. Show up every single day, even with your doubts, your flaws, and your fears. That's how Unstoppable is built, not in big leaps, but in quiet steps. Zero is where you learn discipline, because motivation fades, but discipline sticks. And that small voice in your head that says, I'm not good enough. That voice gets quieter each time you choose to keep going anyway. When you're at zero, you have a rare opportunity. You have nothing to lose and everything to build. You're free to experiment, to mess up, to learn without the pressure of expectations. That freedom is powerful. Use it. Don't wait for confidence to come before you act. Action builds confidence, and the smallest action in the right direction, even taken from the ground, moves you closer to becoming unstoppable. It's also important to acknowledge that zero isn't weakness. It's clarity. You know exactly where you stand. You're not lost in comparison or confused by too many paths. You're just beginning, and beginnings are pure. You're laying down your foundation, and foundations are never pretty. They're made of sweat, mess, and sometimes even tears. But once it's solid, everything you build on top will stand taller, last longer, and withstand more. From zero, you're not expected to have all the answers. What matters is that you start asking better questions. What do I want? Why does it matter to me? What's one thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? These questions move you forward. They help you shape a game plan that's not based on speed, but on strength and staying power. Endurance is about choosing progress over perfection. From zero, you're not trying to win overnight. You're trying to stay in the game long enough to grow into the version of yourself who does win. And that's not a dream, it's a direction. You walk it daily, one choice at a time, one uncomfortable step at a time. So if you're standing at the beginning right now, unsure, afraid, doubting yourself, congratulations, you're exactly where you need to be, because once you take that first step, you're no longer at zero. You're in motion, and once you're in motion, even slow motion, you're already on the path from zero to unstoppable. Most people think success is about talent, something you're either born with or you're not. But if you look closely at those who have gone from zero to unstoppable, there's a common thread. It's not talent that carried them, it's consistency. The quiet, often unseen effort of showing up again and again, even when it feels boring, even when no one's watching, even when you don't feel like it. That's the real engine behind endurance, because consistency beats intensity every time. You don't have to be the smartest, the fastest, or the most skilled person in the room. You just have to be the one who refuses to quit, the one who keeps going when others stop. Talent might give you a head start, but it's consistency that keeps you in the race. It builds your stamina, shapes your habits, and creates a kind of internal trust. You start to believe in yourself not because of hype, but because you've proven over time that you show up. It's tempting to look for shortcuts, to hope for one big breakthrough that will change everything, But the truth is, most breakthroughs are just the result of 100 small steps taken with discipline. They don't feel powerful at the time. In fact, they usually feel ordinary, like waking up early to study, even when you're tired, like practicing that one thing you're bad at until it stops scaring you, like saying no to distractions and yes to your plan. These things aren't glamorous, but they build greatness slowly, brick by brick. You see, endurance isn't about doing one hard thing once. It's about doing meaningful things repeatedly, even when they stop being exciting. That's where most people fall off. They start strong, full of energy and dreams, but the moment the journey feels long or boring or hard, they lose momentum. The real endurance players, they push through that phase. They understand that boredom is part of mastery, that greatness lives in the grind, and here's the thing. Your brain starts to rewire itself the moment you commit to consistency. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen the belief that you are reliable, that you can trust yourself to follow through, and that internal trust is powerful, because once you believe in your own discipline, motivation becomes less important. You don't have to feel like it, you just do it. It becomes who you are. It's also worth remembering that consistency doesn't mean perfection. You'll slip, you'll have off days, you'll miss a step or fall behind. That's okay. What matters most is that you get back up quickly. One bad day won't ruin your progress, but quitting will. Think of consistency like momentum. If you stop for too long, you'll lose it. But if you keep even the smallest pace, you stay in motion. And that motion becomes unstoppable over time. Building endurance is a lot like building muscle. You don't lift the heaviest weight on day one. You start small and increase your strength through repetition. And yes, it's slow. Yes, it takes time. But eventually, the work you once struggled with becomes easy. Your limits expand, your identity shifts. You no longer see yourself as someone trying. You see yourself as someone who does. You won't always feel motivated. But you can always choose to be consistent. And that choice, made again and again, is what turns effort into excellence and struggle into strength. That's how you win, not by being the most talented, but by being the most committed to the process. So don't underestimate the power of your small efforts. Don't wait for perfect timing or perfect conditions. Just keep showing up. Day after day, step by step. Because over time, those steps turn into miles, and those miles turn into a journey worth remembering. Building endurance isn't just a physical game, it's deeply mental. In fact, your mind will give up long before your body ever truly does. That's why if you're serious about going from zero to unstoppable, you can't just train your skills. You have to train your mindset. You have to build your mental muscles the same way you'd build physical strength, through daily effort, intentional habits, and a deep belief that you are stronger than your circumstances. Your thoughts shape your endurance more than any outside challenge. That voice in your head, it matters. If it's constantly telling you that you're not good enough, that it's too late, or that you don't have what it takes, eventually you'll believe it. But here's the truth. That voice is not always telling the truth. Most of the time, it's just fear disguised as logic, and once you recognize that, you can start talking back. You can start rewriting the script. Instead of "I can't do this," you say, "This is hard, but I've done hard things before." That's mental endurance. The road from zero to unstoppable is not straight. It's filled with failure, setbacks, confusion, and moments of deep self-doubt, and those moments aren't signs of weakness. They are invitations to grow. The people who endure don't avoid struggle. They learn to face it with curiosity instead of fear. They ask, "What is this teaching me?" instead of "Why is this happening to me?" That shift in perspective is subtle but powerful. It takes you out of victim mode and puts you in charge. Mental strength doesn't mean you never feel anxious or afraid or unmotivated. It means you don't let those feelings control your decisions. You feel the fear and move forward anyway. You feel tired but still choose to show up. You feel behind but still give your best. That's what builds resilience. The quiet decision to act even when every part of you wants to quit. One of the strongest mental tools you can build is emotional regulation. Learn to pause before reacting. When things don't go your way, take a breath. When you feel overwhelmed, step back and refocus. Your ability to manage your emotions is directly tied to your ability to endure. Because life will throw distractions, disappointments, and even heartbreak your way. But if you've trained your mind to stay grounded, you won't be shaken so easily. Another key part of mental endurance is learning to control what you can and release what you can't. You can't always control outcomes, but you can control your effort, your focus, your attitude. And when you stay committed to those things, you'll always move forward, even if progress feels slow. Letting go of perfection is also part of mental training. Some days, your best will look different, and that's okay. Don't waste energy beating yourself up. Use that energy to recalibrate and keep going. Visualization is another underrated mental tool. When you're tired, when you feel like giving up, close your eyes and see your future self, the one who didn't quit, who pushed through, who made it. Remind yourself why you started. Reconnect with the bigger picture. That mental image becomes your fuel when motivation runs low. And remember, every time you fight through a challenge, you're not just surviving, you're upgrading. Your mind becomes more flexible, your emotions more stable, your focus more clear. That kind of growth is invisible at first, but over time it becomes your secret weapon. You walk differently, you handle pressure differently, you become someone who doesn't just endure, but inspires others to endure too. So if you ever catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, pause and ask, what would the stronger version of me do right now? Then do that. Because every time you choose strength over surrender, you're getting closer to unstoppable. When you're on a journey from zero to unstoppable, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is focusing only on the big finish line. It's tempting to think that success is a single moment, a big win, a dramatic breakthrough. But in reality, it's the small, consistent steps that lead you there. That's why setting mini goals is one of the smartest things you can do. These smaller, focused targets give you direction, build confidence, and keep your energy alive when the end still feels far away. You see, when you're only focused on the final destination, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. You start thinking, I have so far to go, and that weight can stop you before you even begin. But when you break your big goal into mini goals, everything changes. Suddenly, the journey becomes manageable, achievable. You're no longer staring at the mountain. You're just climbing the next few steps, and every step you take builds momentum. Mini goals give you a reason to celebrate progress. Too often, people wait until they've reached the ultimate goal to feel proud. But when you set mini goals, you create regular checkpoints where you can pause, acknowledge your growth, and remind yourself that you're moving forward. That celebration fuels motivation. It tells your mind, what I'm doing is working, and that message matters, especially when things get tough. These smaller goals also help you focus. Instead of trying to do everything at once, you concentrate on what matters right now. Maybe this week, your mini goal is just to wake up 1 hour earlier. Maybe it's to finish a small section of a larger project. These don't seem like life-changing actions on their own, but that's the point. They're simple, doable, and clear, and when you stack enough of them over time, they lead to transformation. Think of mini goals as your training ground for endurance. Just like an athlete doesn't jump into a marathon without building up slowly, you don't build an unstoppable mindset overnight. You train it step by step. Each mini goal completed becomes a quiet win that strengthens your belief in yourself. You start to realize, if I can do this, I can do the next thing too. And let's be honest, there will be days when the big picture feels out of reach. Days when motivation is low, when self-doubt creeps in, or when life throws unexpected challenges your way. In those moments, your mini goals act as lifelines. Instead of quitting altogether, you focus on what's right in front of you. You simplify the journey, you just do the next right thing. Another powerful part of setting mini goals is that they allow you to adjust your path without losing your purpose. Life isn't predictable. Sometimes what you thought would take a week takes a month. Sometimes plans need to change. But when your goals are small and flexible, you can pivot without feeling like you failed. You stay in the game, And staying in the game is the most important part of becoming unstoppable. It's also important to write these goals down, track them, make them visible. When you see your progress, you start to build a record of your resilience. It's a reminder that you're not stuck, you're evolving. Even if the changes feel slow, they're real. And over time, they build a version of you that's stronger, more focused, and more confident than ever before. So don't underestimate the power of the small steps. Don't wait for the big moment to prove you're making progress. Every mini goal achieved is a message to yourself. I'm moving forward. I'm doing the work. I'm becoming who I'm meant to be. In a world that constantly celebrates hustle, speed, and nonstop effort, rest often feels like a weakness. Like something you can't afford if you want to be unstoppable. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is, rest is not a break from progress. It's a powerful part of progress. If you want to build real endurance, you have to understand that recovery is a strategy, not a setback. It's not about slowing down, it's about making sure you can keep going. Think of any high-performing athlete. They train hard, yes, but they also rest with intention. Why? Because muscles don't grow during the workout, they grow during the recovery. The same goes for your mind, your creativity, your focus, and your emotional energy. If you're constantly in motion without any pause, you're not building endurance. You're heading for burnout. Many people confuse being busy with being productive. But there's a big difference between movement and progress. You can work yourself to exhaustion and still stay stuck in the same place. Real endurance isn't about how long you can push without stopping. It's about knowing when to pause, recharge, and return stronger. The goal isn't to burn yourself out reaching the finish line, it's to build a pace you can sustain. When you start from zero, there's a hunger that drives you. You want to catch up, prove yourself, make things happen. And that energy is valuable, but if you don't manage it well, it can become destructive. Pushing too hard for too long without rest leads to mental fog, emotional fatigue, and physical wear and tear. Suddenly, the thing that once felt exciting now feels like a burden. That's not failure, it's a signal that your body and mind need space to breathe. Rest doesn't always mean sleep or taking long break. Sometimes it just means stepping away for a few minutes to reset. It can mean silence, stillness, reflection, or simply doing something that brings you peace. The key is intentional rest, not escaping your work, but supporting your work with periods of recovery. When you rest intentionally, you return with better clarity, more energy, and renewed focus. Many people feel guilty when they rest. They hear that voice that says you're wasting time or you should be doing more. But here's what you need to remember. Rest is productive when it has a purpose. It's not laziness to listen to your body. It's not weakness to honor your limits. In fact, knowing your limits is part of being strong. It means you're paying attention. And paying attention is what separates people who burn out from people who build sustainable momentum. Just like your mini goals give you direction and your consistency keeps you on track, rest gives you staying power. It's what allows you to continue when others crash. Because while they're burning out trying to do everything all at once, you're pacing yourself. You're building something that lasts. Recovery also gives you perspective. When you're constantly moving, it's easy to lose sight of why you started. But when you pause, you reconnect with your purpose. You remember your why. You can step back, see the bigger picture, and make better decisions. That's not slowing down. That's leading yourself with wisdom. So if you ever feel tired, if your mind feels cluttered or your energy feels drained, don't ignore it. Don't keep pushing just because you think you're supposed to. Step back, recharge, and come back better. Unstoppable doesn't mean unbreakable. It means learning how to bend, how to breathe, and how to rise again, stronger than before. Protect your energy like it matters, because it does. Without it, nothing else can grow. Rest is not a pause in your journey, it's part of your endurance game plan. When you're building endurance from zero to unstoppable, you're going to face countless moments when it feels easier to go back than to go forward. The challenges will test your resolve, the pace will feel slow, and your progress might feel invisible. In those moments, one thing becomes your anchor, your why, that deep, personal reason that fuels everything you do. Without it, every struggle feels heavier. With it, every obstacle becomes a step, not a stop. Your why isn't just a motivational quote, it's your inner fire. It's what keeps you grounded, focused, and resilient when the road gets tough. People often think that motivation alone will carry them through the journey, but motivation is inconsistent. It rises and falls. Some days you'll feel inspired, other days you'll feel completely disconnected from your goals. That's normal, but your why, that doesn't fade. It stays with you when motivation disappears. It's the reason you got started in the first place. And when you remind yourself of it often, it becomes the heartbeat of your endurance. Your why has to be bigger than the temporary discomfort you're in. It has to matter more than the difficulty of the moment. Maybe your why is your family. Maybe it's proving to yourself that you're capable of more than the world expected. Maybe it's about creating freedom, building something that outlives you, or becoming a role model for someone else. Whatever it is, it needs to be real, personal, emotional, because when your why touches your heart, your effort stops feeling like a burden. It starts feeling like purpose. When the process gets boring, your why brings meaning to the repetition. When you fail, your why reminds you that one failure doesn't erase your progress. When you're exhausted, your why becomes the reason you get up anyway. It brings clarity when you're confused, courage when you're afraid, and drive when you feel stuck. It's your emotional fuel tank. And just like any fuel tank, you have to keep it full by reconnecting with it regularly. Take time to reflect. Ask yourself, not just once, but often, why am I really doing this? Dig deeper than the surface level answers. I want success isn't enough. Why do you want success? What does it mean to you? What will your life look like when you get there? And who else will benefit? Paint that picture clearly in your mind. Feel it in your heart. That picture will pull you forward when the weight of the journey tries to drag you down. You'll also notice that your why can evolve. As you grow, your reasons may shift. That's okay. Let them grow with you. Just make sure you always have one. Because drifting through life without a why is like running a race without a finish line. You'll eventually burn out. But when you know where you're going and why you're going there, even the longest road becomes worth walking. Your why also brings focus. It cuts through distraction. When you know your purpose, you stop wasting time on things that don't align. You start protecting your time, your energy, and your boundaries because you know what's at stake. It's not about being perfect, it's about staying connected to the mission. And the more connected you are, the more unstoppable you become. So when the journey feels slow, when you're tempted to quit, or when no one else seems to understand your grind, go back to your why, read it, speak it, write it down again if you need to. Let it light the fire inside you. Because the truth is, talent and discipline and strategy are all important, but it's your reason that keeps them alive. It's your reason that gives them meaning.